So
are you talking about when to say no?
absolutely. I'm totally going boundaries here, man, because it goes back to the vision. If I talk to anybody and say, yeah, but that's my family or that's my best friend, I would say, well, okay, that's great. I said, but tell me your vision. Well, I love my husband, or I love my wife, and I love my kids. I stop right there. Where are you giving your time? If I put husband or wife and kids, and I say, stop that right there. How much are they getting of you? See? Or how many of these people are maybe number 9 and 10 on your list, they're getting most of your energy. And those are the folks that you're saying, hey, I might need to reevaluate who's in my realm, of influence, circle of influence here, and how much am I giving to everybody. But these are the top two people in my vision. Same with my wife or husband, whatever. Hey, they're top two, their kids and their spouse too. Why are we giving to so many other things?
Yep.
Okay. Because we're not filling each other.
Sometimes it's easier.
Of course it is.
It's
Yeah,
it's
but why? Why is it easier to give to others than the ones we love? Why? Because it's vulnerable at a super, super deep level.
right. Well, because the fear of rejection to a spouse, to that person that you really love, is way worse, right? That if they
Right,
should reject what you're giving them,
right,
it's so much more crushing.
right,
Whereas if that person over here, that
right,
friend or that acquaintance,
right,
they reject it, you're like, whatever. You know what I'm
right,
saying? You're like, oh, that stung, and you're over it. But
right.
when it's somebody who you really have invested your compassion and love and everything into, you're like, oh, if they reject this, it's going to crush me.
Absolutely. And when we
And
get to those,
they
go
have
ahead.
been rejecting it, right? Or you guys
Right.
haven't been connecting. That's where you're already at.
But why is it being rejected? It's probably because there's miscommunication. Because maybe if we were married and I'm sitting here, I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, it's probably because something that happened 3 days ago that you didn't even know. You're like, yeah, whatever, Steve. I'm going, yeah, but I just did this amazing thing for you. Ouch. I ain't doing that again. But maybe you
Okay,
just, there's
so
that
that
miscommunication.
that brings me to my favorite exercise. This was done in at Insight, right? Which is a great experiential workshop. There we go.
Yes, there you
Um,
go.
self-development workshop. Anyway, when they talk about communication, effective communication, right? And we do all these things to learn effective communication. And the one that really stuck with me was, you're going to find somebody in this room and you're going to sit across from them in a chair, just a couple feet away, and you're both going to close your eyes. And you're both going to have 2 minutes to say what you need to say to them. So that person sitting across from you is whoever that you really need to talk to, that you really need to
Right,
communicate with, that you haven't been able to, right?
right,
Or you feel like your message hasn't been getting across. Now's your time to talk to that person, okay? Well, that person's not really there, right? It's just some rando that I met at the, workshop, okay? And but I talk to them like my spouse or, my daughter or, whatever it is, right?
right,
So you close your eyes and you say what you have to say for 2 minutes. That person sitting across from you is not allowed to make a sound. Okay. They can't touch you. They can't make a sound, nothing. So you are literally able to communicate everything without being interrupted. Then they get to say, whoever they're talking to, their 2 minutes worth of communication. And why this is so effective is because I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but when I have to communicate something that's very emotional or contentious with somebody, I like to write it down a lot of times, only because I think better and get everything I want to say across in a
right,
letter and email. Okay.
right,
So this is the same thing, but on a more personal level.
right,
Because if our eyes were open, this person may have been agreeing with me, which made me feel good.
right,
Or they could have been kind of doing this to me, which would have made me now start saying things a different way because they're either
right,
not understanding me or not agreeing with me, right?
right,
Or they start to go like this, which means, now they're getting angry. So I'm going to dial it back and go in a
Yeah.
different direction, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so even without words, the visual will make you go off in a different direction and not say
Right.
what you came
Right.
to say.
Right. Right.
So if couples could just agree to do this, it would be
Right.
huge, I think.
Right.
It sounds so hokey, right? If you went home
No,
to
no,
your
no, no,
spouse and
no,
said,
no,
okay,
no.
we're going to sit across from each other and close our eyes and I'm going to talk for 2 minutes.
I'm going to piggyback off that, Betsy, real quick, and give everybody a tool here. This is a tool I've used in my practice. I've used it in my own personal life as well. And it's writing a love letter is what you're talking about. Now, love letters, I love you so much, gush, gush, kiss, kiss. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about writing out what you need to say as best you can, okay, with love, truth, and boldness. But here's the cool part. If you guys go talk when things are hot, well, you're gonna have a fight. You're gonna have an argument because why? We're talking out of emotion. You might be sitting here saying, here's this issue, spouse, but its delivery is all wrong because it's out of emotion. You're saying, I'm like this, whatever, or what. But if you write this stuff out, and then I say, take your time, you sleep on it, you wait 3 or 4 days, 5 days, a week, whatever it takes until you're sitting there going, that's a pretty good letter. And then I also challenge people, if they're seeing me in session, I'm saying, hey, before you take it to your spouse, you bring it to me first. I want to look at it. Because they might read something in that, and I'm sitting there going, man, I can take that 20 different ways. So clean that up. So the point is, when you sit down with your partner and you have this love letter and saying, hey, can I have some time to talk? Yeah, why? You have the game's on. They got commercial. Let's talk right now. I don't think so. It's going to be something that you're sitting there going, no, let's talk this through. I have something, but they know you've taken your time, you've put effort into it, you've put prayer into it, whatever you put into that. So the defenses aren't up right off the bat. You're going to have a better chance to really get down to the nuts and bolts and be heard, especially if you can sit there and say, well, here you go. I tell you what, you go think about it, you reread it, and you get back with me later. We don't even have to talk about it right now.
Right.
But if
Well,
people would just practice that.
I think that is so huge, that waiting and digesting it,
Yeah.
because there's so many people that read into it, even though you've done your best to not have them take offense
Right.
to it, they
Right.
do. And they
Right.
become defensive. And that's their first reaction. And so they're pushing back, they're lashing out, right? So take time to really digest this and think about it,
Right.
and try to think about where I'm coming from in this. That I'm
Right.
trying to express my emotions.
Right.
I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to change you. I'm
Right.
just trying to tell you how I'm feeling in our relationship.
Exactly. Exactly. Now,
So,
what
and
what
sorry, that's an important thing to put in the letter, is to make sure
absolutely.
that the language you use
Exactly.
isn't accusatory language.
Right. And then another thing I would say, while you're preparing for this conversation, you always have to look at the only person you can control is yourself. Okay. So if I'm sitting here going, yeah, but what if my spouse reacts this way? Then I'm going to, oh, I'm not ready for that. So you look at worst case scenario, if they totally blow you off, how's that going to affect you? Well, it's going to piss me off, Steve. Then you better not read it to them then. You're not ready yet, because you got to be ready for worst case scenario of how they're going to respond to that letter, you see. So this way, you're not going to respond. If they sit there going, oh my God, I get, like, you know what? I tell you what, you go ahead and read this, and I'm just going to call a timeout right now, and you go ahead and process that. And when you're ready, then we can talk about it. See. So anyway, it's just a quick little tool that people can use to really help with that communication in a safe way.